Hi, and welcome to The Returned. Here's to everything we'll discover together. Hi, and welcome to The Returned. I am sharing space today with Scarlett Raven, whose near-death experience profoundly transformed her life. Through her powerful awakening, she discovered that love unites us with God, our ancestors, and everything around us. Scarlett is here to share her journey with us. Scarlett, welcome to The Returned.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Scarlett, before your experience, how would you briefly describe your life and the person you were?
I would say that I was someone living in Northern California and I was very focused on making it big. I had my company, White Fox Medicinals, and I was promoting and growing herbs for that company. I was running around, moving very quickly through life. I had a massive spiritual ego. I thought I was very evolved, but it was the spiritual woo woo persona that I had put over mask that I had put over myself, and not saying that there aren't gems of wisdom inside of some of those eclectic circles, but primarily what that did for me was make me feel like I had a huge spiritual ego. So I thought that it was only me that would manifest things for myself. It had nothing to do with God. I wasn't a God person. I didn't use the word God. A lot of people in my community would be extremely offended by the word God. So it was I was serving people just as I am now, but I wasn't as present and I wasn't as purposeful. I wasn't mature enough in my own knowing of myself and what I truly was to be able to meet people on deeper levels yet. So that's kind of a generalized summary of who I was. Someone who would say esoteric, spiritual, definitely rebuking all God and all religion, and my primary focus was on how can I get what I want for myself? How can I promote myself? How can I grow my company?
Oh, that sounds very elaborate,
Yeah.
right? Can you take us back to the moment of your health crisis and what you were experiencing emotionally and spiritually at the time?
Yeah. So I was laying in bed. It was a foreign country. I didn't have any friends or family around. 2019 December in Sri Lanka, and I was experiencing and feeling all my systems shut down and die, basically. My body was going through massive amounts of pain because of the high fever. I had gone into like a delirious consciousness. I didn't know what day it was or like how I had gotten to that hotel. Something was going on with my lungs where I couldn't breathe. I was breathing, but it didn't feel like I was getting air. So, like, walking or moving felt totally impossible. I had to get um, help to like sit up in bed and things like that. And that's on the physical, and the way that I see like our human systems, we have our physical body, we have our emotional body, our mental body, and our spirit body. So that's what was going on with the physical body. And then my mental and emotional body were realizing that the person I had traveled to that country with was actually not a good person. I had asked them for a favor to get me some medicine, and instead of them going out and getting me medicine, they just went shopping for themselves and forgot. So I also had this moment in time where, you know how when you're like, I've had this happen a handful of times, but when you're like dating someone and you're just ignoring red flags and you're stuck in this what you want rather than what's actually going on. And it was like every red flag I had ignored in that moment when he came back to the hotel and didn't have the medicine for me. I had realized, I was like, oh my God, I saw every red flag I ignored. It was like dominoes were falling. And I looked up and I saw him as this completely different person in a matter of like a half a second. So I had this massive emotional ego blow because I had bought this trip for him. And then I
Oh,
realized I bought
wow.
the trip for someone who doesn't even care about me. and that this was all that I had. Like, I didn't have my mom, I didn't have any other friends. So then my mind started getting weak, and I thought, "This is it. I don't have help. I don't speak the language. This guy's not gonna, be of service to me." And then that compounded my physical pain. It made my physical pain feel 10 times worse. And I laid back in the bed and I kinda gave up. I mean, I couldn't I've had shingles, which is an excruciating level of pain. This was on that level of just like, I couldn't bear it. I just couldn't bear it. So, that's the state I was in right before I had.
Scarlett, what was it that you had that did this to
I
you? Like, what
think
health?
I was one of the first people to get that thing that was launched in 2020. I don't know if you wanna
Oh,
me to
yeah.
say the word, but
No, but we
basically,
understand.
the airport that I flew home through and flew there through was South Korea. That was the first location to be shut down. I made it back like 2 days, and then they shut the airport down. So, when I got back and I started seeing everything on the news and they were describing the symptoms and how people were dying quickly from the first wave, um, that's I don't know, like, I can't tell you that that's exactly what it was, but I think that's what I think happened.
That's incredible because, back then, when I did get sick as well, I was in excruciating pain and I also was hallucinating. I did not have a near death or anything from it, but I couldn't figure out how to even get down the stairs to
Yeah.
go like to the hospital. It
Wow.
was really strange. I had to go down like on my butt. It was really weird. It was like my brain wouldn't work. So I kind of actually can empathize with what you're saying at
Yeah.
the what you were going through at that moment. How terrible, right? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
Mm-mm-mm.
and I'm a holistic health practitioner, so I've studied, like, how viruses can affect people, and when something's launched like that into society where it hasn't developed any herd immunity, it is the first wave of people that get hit that are most likely to pass from it, and then the rest of the collective consciousness will start gathering herd immunity, and it'll turn into, like, a regular cold flu thing. So that's kind of what I watched progress, and I think for those of us that got hit first, it was very intense. But now it's a part of our society and, we have herd immunity and it's not a big deal, but that's also the miracle aspects of how of our physical magicalness. Like, we can really
Yes.
overcome anything over time. We build immunity and strength over time. It's pretty miraculous what the human body can do.
We were made to be able to do this. We didn't don't need anything to,
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
us. Our body was created to be able to fight for itself. It
Yeah.
really was. I truly believe that.
Me
I wish
too.
everyone would believe that,
Me
right?
too. Me too. And I think what I went through is a testament that even in the worst case scenario, you don't need medical intervention. You really don't. You can get through anything. The body can survive and sustain through anything. It may not be pleasant, but the fact still remains that it can survive anything.
Oh, and you did.
Yeah.
You're walking proof of that,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Will you please take us on to the, NDE portion of your story or experience?
Yeah. So basically once my ego shattered and I realized how silly my decision making was and my emotions were as low as they could be and the physical body was feeling like it was done, I closed my eyes and I still don't know why I said this because I at that point in my life I didn't use the word God, but I closed my eyes and I said, "God, if this is what you want for me, if this is what you want for my life, just take me." I was at that point where it was 100% full surrender because I 100% just didn't give a shit anymore. Everything had been shattered, and I didn't have someone there to say, "It's okay, you're gonna be fine, I'm gonna help you through this." So I was at my lowest low, which is actually a really profound place to get to, I realized, because it's in that full surrender that miracles occur. And that's what I know now, but in that moment, what happened was it was like I closed my eyes and I said that inner prayer to God, and the second I finished my last word, I open my eyes and I'm not my physical human eyes, but my consciousness awakened and I was in and with the presence of God because it wasn't like we were separate. So I don't want it to sound like I was here in my spirit consciousness and God was here. It was like God was everything and God was also God. And I think describing it as like this infinite intelligence makes more sense than the word God in this scenario. But um, I was in my light body. I didn't have a physical body, but it was me, and I was in a light consciousness. And all I was feeling was unconditional love and eternal peace and eternal joy. And I went from really, really wanting something really bad and being in a lot of pain to the complete opposite. It was like I had no desires. I didn't need anything. I wasn't requesting something. Nothing was in a sense of suffering. And so I just knew that I wish that I could describe the level of love. It's a level of love that is so complete, like no matter what I could have said or done, it would have been full acceptance, full compassion, full love. It's such a freeing feeling to be in the presence of God. The level of freedom I felt because of this love presence was what has left a huge imprint on me for the rest of my life. It's what showed me God was real and what God only is love. And everything in that moment was so simple and so easy to understand. And then I don't know how long that occurred, but I could feel like a sense of completion. And all of a sudden I'm back in my body. And it's like going from an all expanded, all encompassing feeling to feeling like slight restrictions. And then I'm in the physical presence of my body. And when I wake up, I had gone through some kind of a healing in the presence of God because all my pain was cut into everything that I was struggling with prior felt like it was like I was all of a sudden I was mending, I wasn't dying. And I could feel it, I could feel that my fever was gone because the physical pain had went from like excruciating pain to soreness. And so I
Mhm.
was all of a sudden I was mending. And that was that was the experience.
So, where you said the ego was shattered, that sits with me like I just think that feeling must have been so freeing.
I mean, it was like 4 months of excruciating pain, to be honest, because I had tied who I thought I was to my ego. So and I couldn't really process it till I got back on US soil. So I remember I got back, and then, like, the next 3 to 4 months, once I was back, I didn't know who I was. Yes, you're right, it was freeing. After that 4-month period of, like, suffering and removing all the masks I had created for myself and
Hmm.
just realizing that there's this massive divine presence that does everything through me and that I wasn't doing anything. Like, I had to really come to terms with when I'm offering a healing to someone, I'm not doing anything. I'm getting out of the way so God can move through me and do it because I'm
Mhm.
in a lower vibrating frequency than the all encompassing divine intelligence that created me. And it took 4 months to really understand what that meant and to change. I had to change how I saw the world, how I saw myself. I changed who I was doing business with. I mean, it was like a 4 months of just like everything that was before the trip was not after the trip. And I had spent 10 years building that life. So it was almost like the crumbling of 10 years and all this stuff. It and then once that occurred, I felt very free. Once that all the dust had settled, I did feel extremely free, but I also started feeling like these I started feeling these threads of eternal peace and joy while not doing anything. Just if I would just sit and breathe, I could feel these sense of eternal peace. And it was because I had brought God back into my life, whereas before I had sealed myself from infinite intelligence to move through me. I thought I was doing everything. It was like that seal came off, and all of a sudden I was this hollow bone for God again. And That is very freeing because it's kind of like all I have to do is show up and with an open heart and my presence, and then God takes care of everything else. What I was doing before was extremely exhausting.
Oh, I only can imagine. It sounds exhausting even listening to it, to be honest with you. When you were on the other side, what did the source God look like to you? Like when you were to look at it, what did it look like to you?
It looks like it looks like a field of light.
Mm,
Like a field meaning you don't ever see the end of it. It's, it's like so it's like a 360 field of light, and no matter where I looked or what I was feeling empathically, it was everywhere. It was even inside of my consciousness.
mm,
And I kind of want to like the metaphorical example I wanted to give in the beginning was like, you know how there's light brights and there's these individual bulbs that come up and make these colorful pictures?
mhm.
It's almost like I went into the center of one of those light bright bulbs. And it was just this expansion of bursting light, but it didn't have a beginning and it didn't have an end.
Did you have any communication, and did you have a communication, or did you understand knowingly when you were there something or a message?
Yeah, yeah, it was love, but me saying it to you in English does not even come close to the depth and profound of that. Like, for me right now, I'm saying one word to you, but in that atmosphere and in that experience, when that essence or that energetic word love is being communicated, it's such a full spectrum of things. It's like being healed, being loved unconditionally. I could feel like little things that I may have been embarrassed about as a human, like everything was being washed over in this complete acceptance of self. That's what it felt like, and then I translated that to love. It was like a light something was looking at me and was just accepting and nourishing every cell, everything that was me and about me, and I had never had an experience like that.
It
It's
sounds
really challenging.
absolutely beautiful.
It's challenging to describe it because language is like here, and if we're going in frequencies, like the feeling and what I experience is out of the three-dimensional frequencies that we're kind of operating in right now. So, all I could say is just imagine a presence coming up to you and looking upon you with so much love and unconditional acceptance that you just melt back into the wholeness before you had
Mm.
become you, kind of
In
a
what ways do you think your NDE connected you with God, your ancestors, and other beings?
So, the NDE basically showed me that God is real. God is this
Mhm.
infinite presence. I still don't believe in man-made religions, me personally, but I have found God and Jesus and connecting with God and Jesus directly through my own inner light to be my spiritual path now. So, I don't think everything in the Bible is 100% accurate, but I do think there's gems and pieces of gold in there that will bring us close to this feeling of God. I'm sorry.
I loved what you said there. That was wonderful. How did your NDE connect you
Yeah.
with ancestors or other beings?
It showed me that there isn't separation. So when we talk about unity consciousness, I had a living example that like even you and me were showing up in two different physical human bodies, and that's in the 3D realm. That's 1% of what's actually going on around us. So our spiritual senses can sense the other 99%. And in that other 99% that we cannot see with our human organs, like our eyes or ears, we're all part of that field of God love that I saw. We're all literally a part of that pure form of light that only feels and vibrates at the frequency of unconditional love. There's no
That's
separation.
beautiful.
So in terms of like ancestors, it's the same as if it were my ancestors or if it were you or someone I just crossed on the street. It's all the same. There's really no differentiation. Our physical 3D realm paths look different, but that's how it was actually supposed to be. God didn't want to have the same experience over and over and over again. He wanted to have this multifaceted experience, like as if God was a diamond, but there were infinite facets to the diamond, but it's all still the same facet. And each facet is this different lens that it's looking out, and we are the lenses, but we're all
That's beautiful.
attached to the same diamond. So now when I look at people, I don't feel separate from them. And even if it's someone that I don't agree with or someone that is maybe doing heinous, cruel things to other people, I still feel love for them because inside of them is that pure light. Inside of them is that God pure light. And I know that if I focus on that, like we know this from quantum physics, whatever we focus on expands. So if I focus on the pure light that's inside of every human, that's what's going to expand. And that's how miracles are done. If you ignore the 3D senses and you go into your spirit senses and focus on amplifying those frequencies, that's what starts happening in your world. And that's what starts expanding in the people around you.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. I am my question, I'm wondering, why do you think you had that NDE?
I think that I was very delusional and confused as to how to come home to my inner power. I was doing the best that I could with the wisdom that I had at the time. And let's say, like, the path to that inner power and knowing God completely was here. And I was kind of starting to do this. And as soon as that happened, it wasn't like I had this gentle, it was like, no, it's like
I
crashed
think so.
inside. And I think, I mean, I could say I think my aha moment, my experience with God moment was it was so intense because I was ignoring. I think I was ignoring more subtle pushes along the way to get me back to this state of wholeness. And I because I wasn't responding to the subtler um wake up calls, I got a really, really loud wake up call that
Yeah.
gave me no other decision. It took the decision away from me. It feels like I have and I believe this about everybody, but there's a divine blueprint inside of my soul that has every single lesson completed in it, has my ascended mastery inside of it, has my all, the coming home to self and renewing my body as a light, like the perfection. That's inside of me. And so like if I start stepping, my human consciousness starts taking me into realms that are too far, it's almost like it's a magnet. Like none of us can mess up on coming home to ourselves. It's programmed inside of us. It'll just be how easy and graceful do we want the journey to be? Are we going to listen to the subtle cues or are we going to need a massive hammer to the side of the head? Like it just kind of depends on our consciousness density. And I was extremely dense in my consciousness and I had fooled myself to thinking otherwise. So I think I was in a lot of delusions at the time.
Yeah, I think we all get to a place like that though, don't we? And then
Yeah.
we all of a sudden have some interesting awakening. I hear exactly what you're saying, and I actually feel very similar to you. I have been hearing so many different stages of awakening with people, not just from NDEs, not just from OBE, like people have had them from OBEs, NDEs, ayahuasca, all these different things, but they're still leading you to the same conclusion, right? Back to self. And do you ever wonder, like, why the stages for people are so staggered?
What
That's just a
is
question from me. I've just
Yeah,
noticed it a lot lately. Since 2020, I've really noticed it. Just a big difference. It's a very
yeah.
staggered kind of awakening people are having.
Does staggered mean like Like a bunch of people are awakening and then there's none, and then a bunch of people and then none. Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Like,
like here and there, and then there's an influx of awakenings, and then
oh
there's a
yeah,
kind of a back, and then like you, it's actually, let me put it on like social media terms. Like you'll maybe be on social media and you'll see like a bunch of, say, millennials talking about awakening
yeah,
and all these different, and then all of a sudden you'll see nothing, and then you see more, and then
yeah,
just keeps like a staggered awakening. I constantly am thinking about that purpose, and then you see all the near deaths that are happening, and all of us come back
yeah,
with this, wow, it's almost like a dark night of the soul for some. It's almost like total ego death.
yeah, yeah,
And it's sometimes like a slap in the face for others. Like,
yeah,
get back on your path and get doing what you're doing. Do you
yeah,
ever feel like that?
yeah, yeah. And I am seeing the waves of consciousness awakening for sure. Yeah, I feel like,
That's exactly how I wanted to put it and couldn't find the words.
yeah,
Exactly. The waves of consciousness awakening.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely waves, and it feels like that's by design. Like when there's like slowness to it, people are recalibrating and kind of getting grounded again. And then there's another massive like light burst that kind of hits the earth and shatters people. And then there's this other, yeah, it feels like since 2020, not only is it happening really loudly and in all of our faces, but it's like time got sped up times a million. And
Oh,
then
yeah,
prior to
totally.
2020, it was like time kind of felt normalized. And then all of a sudden after it, it's like time doesn't feel like it's real or that it exists that much anymore. Like things are happening just
I feel the
amazing.
same. I feel the same. Time is really strange right now. I don't feel it half the time, to be
Yeah.
honest. Or
Yeah.
maybe I'm not just so focused on it. That could be it too. Do you think that, like your relationships changed since this happened to you?
All of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you'll accept in your life?
Yeah. That 100%. There was a lot of mental and emotional abuse in the relationship I was in, which I
Mm.
wasn't honestly. It was so manipulative that it was hard to see. So the first 2 years, actually, I had to rebuild my whole self-esteem, and that kind of, um, made it more challenging for me to see all the other upgrades I had gotten. So after I did, like, a few years rebuilding my self-esteem, then I started seeing the 2020 and what everything was for, and I started getting all the everything gathered in my consciousness, but I'm a completely different person. I I would say, like, 98% of my life just was totally different after that happened.
Are you happy for that?
100%. I
Mhm.
was
You're
put
grateful.
with and
Mhm.
dealing with things, and this is something that, like, I focus on as a teacher now is because I had this experience is, like, why are people okay with setting their bar so low? And that's who I was prior to this. I was someone that set my bar really low. I was dating really shitty men. I thought that's all I could get, so why would I complain about it? And because I hadn't known a good relationship and I hadn't really seen a lot mirrored outside of myself. But also with friends, what would I put up with friends? Also with business relationships, like who do I wanna be in business with? And so I went from someone who had a super low bar and just kinda put up with shit to someone who had a massively high bar. My bar was now heaven on earth. And
Mhm.
anything that didn't resonate with that was gone, which was like everything in my life had to be swept clean. And then I went into, okay, here's the Eden standard, the standard that we were promised, that heaven on earth is this consciousness inside of us. It's when we awaken the Christ consciousness inside of us. And so our frequency is seeing only unified consciousness and it's only seeing eternal love and eternal peace. So our frequency when we're moving through the world on the 3D realm, we're only emanating eternal peace and love. And it is this like jump, it's a faithful jump in consciousness to say, I will no longer tolerate pain and suffering because that's made in the mind of man. What I'm here to tolerate now is only heaven on earth frequencies, which means anything that comes up physically, miracle healing, anything that comes up mentally, miracle healing. It's not about suffering or striving or using effort anymore. It's about commanding and living from the God within, to me now.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I resonate with that hugely.
Yeah.
Wow. You had quite the experience. You really
Yeah.
had quite the experience. Well, you really did. Like, it really completely changed your life,
Yeah.
right? Wow. I'm
Yeah.
so now in your life, do you still communicate with source? Do you have any special gifts? A lot of people that have these near death experiences sometimes do come back with gifts. Do you feel like you did?
Um, I had a lot of since I was born, I've had a lot of psychic gifts, meaning I always could participate and see in the spirit realm. I would say that after this happened, they're definitely more refined, but also I don't say as much. So, like, if let's say you wanted a session with me and you came and you're like, I'm experiencing this and this and this. For me, I hold a vision of the heaven on earth standard for that person.
Mm,
And then if they're being challenged with something, let's say I'm challenged with feeling this fear around this subject, I'm able to see where that started, so I can take them to the seed of the pattern and explain to them, this is the seed. And typically when we go to the seed, it's a massive emotional release because it's typically a trauma from when they're in their mama's belly, or maybe they're 1 or 2, so they don't actually have, um I would say 90% of them are when kids are that young. But then I can hold space for that emotional release, and then once the pattern's let go of at the root, it's no longer present. So it's not part of their belief patterns, it's not part of their energetic magnetism, so they're not going through the same painful loop over and over and over again. Um, that's something that definitely got more clarified after, because prior when I would do sessions, it was like I would see and hear and it would be a massive amount of information, not all helpful. But now
mhm.
that I surrender to God every day and all I wanna do is commune and be at one with God, I only share what God wants me to see. So it feels like things got really distilled in my vision space and a lot more helpful. And I think when I was in an esoteric spiritual practice, I wasn't grounded in the will of God, which means I was susceptible to information that wasn't from God. And now my practice is I surrender to God every day. So I have no worries about the visions or what I hear. It's always from God. Whereas before I had to do a lot of deciphering and I didn't know why I had to do so much deciphering. But now I understand why.
Do you think that your near death experience, being in that light, has bettered your work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I make herbal remedies for people. So when people are shopping on the website and I see their order come in and I see their name, I package up their order and then I can pray for miracle healings for them. So it's like I don't even have to give everybody individual sessions anymore. I can reach thousands of people a month. And this energy and the frequency that I just say with their name and what they ordered, and let's have them have their own miracle experience. Let's have them receive whatever is in their highest best interest. That level of intentionality raises the collective frequency. So the people that are then receiving these packages, it's not just about a 3D world exchange between products and money. It goes into the spirit realm with intention and otherworldly support. So I feel like because I've become more aware, then everything I make and share has more awareness in it.
That's so beautiful. I think that that's just a really special added touch,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, do your customers know that you do this?
I think a lot of them do.
Yeah.
I make YouTube videos and I talk about different, like I talk about how to live and see in frequency, and I try and teach people
Mm.
how to commune and surrender things to God to create their own miracles for themselves. So a lot of people that buy from me online know me from YouTube also. And I would say probably I 50% of them probably know that they're being prayed for and be on the
For
call.
for those, Scarlet, currently facing, like, fear of death or health crisis or any type of, negative in their life, what would you say to them?
I would say that it's time to put your focus on connecting with the God inside of you. Knowing that there is this infinite intelligence, light, and consciousness inside of you, and it's a real energetic structure. It can dissolve any fear, it can dissolve any physical illness, it can dissolve and bring back to the light anything. And if you start putting your energy and using your willpower to create a relationship with that light, meaning you close your eyes, you feel it behind your heart. I offer a lot of free guided meditations on how to do this. And you connect with that light. It's located behind your heart. That's why I'm touching here. And you start communing with that light. And then you feel your fear and say, I surrender this to the Christ within and I walk away free. And you are also consciously, like, you can breathe in, and as you exhale, you're surrendering your fear to that infinite light, and it is going to dissolve your fear. Same thing with any physical illness or emotional pain or suffering. And you just keep doing it and you keep doing it. And it might take a long time for you at first, like 30 minutes, to feel a sense of relief, like the fear has been removed for you. It might happen after the second time you do it. I don't know. It's going to be different for everyone. But you commit to this type of a practice, and then over the course of time, like 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks, you're gonna start feeling levity for no reason. You're gonna start feeling joy and love for no reason. And you're gonna have unlocked this temple of light within you that's gonna start permeating your life. Then you can remove whatever you want. You don't have to hire someone to help you heal. You don't have to spend a dime to get to states of enlightenment. It's really just about willpower and focus, which is a huge challenge for people right now because of iPhones and the internet took away a lot of people's ability to focus and to utilize their willpower to stay focused and to keep a consistent practice. But if you have discipline, willpower, and focus, you can reach states of enlightenment very easily. You were literally born for this. You were born to live in a heaven on earth frequency state. You were not born to live in a suffering state. So this really is a returning home. I love that this podcast is called The Return, because to me, like, everything in this spiritual evolutionary practice is about returning to this
That's right.
light that's it. And then you
Within
emanate
you.
from this place, and like when stuff's going on in your world. So here's like a very logical, relatable example. I could wake up and let's say I wake up and I can't find one of my chickens. There's commands for everything. So I close my eyes and I say, there's no loss in divine mind. Therefore, all shall be restored to me and more. And what initially came up as a sense of anxiety or fear of like, where's my chicken? What I do is I go inside and I surrender that fear inside and I say, there can't be a lost chicken because I live in an Edenic heaven on earth state. And so I'm commanding that state to move into my 3D realm rather than being emotionally sucked down by the delusions of the 3D man-made world.
Mm.
So
Oh,
I'm
that's powerful.
strengthening, like, you have to commit well, I shouldn't say you. I have had to commit to this for years and years of practice for it to become like second nature. Um Teachers like Florence Scovel Shinn or Neville Goddard, those two teachers will explain it in a way that's very easy to grasp. And so I would listen to Florence Scovel Shinn audiobooks over and over and over again, 3 to 4 hours a day for months until this way of living, of commanding from the power within, becomes my immediate consciousness. I'm not having to effort anymore, is what I'm trying to say. So you will get to a place where your practice becomes second nature. It's no longer about willpower. It's no longer a discipline. It's just who you are. And I have returned to this state over and over and over again, and gotten higher and higher frequencies. And I mean, that's what Jesus did with the loaves and fishes. Like, to me, Jesus didn't come here to be worshiped in a religious container. Jesus
Mhm.
came here to show us what we are all able to do. He wanted us to emulate the powers he was showing us he had. And it wasn't about the crucifixion, it was about the resurrection. Then what he did was he so perfected his light body, he was able to take his body with him, which is what we're all able to do. So I think the Christian religion, the man made aspects of it have muddled the actual importance of what Jesus was here for. It's not about worshiping him. We have Christ consciousness within us. That's what he gave us because he gave us an example of how to use it. So, for me, like my spiritual goal is to perfect my light body so that I can take this body with me and I don't have to go through the death and rebirth cycle anymore. So, I studied teachings of Jesus through things like the Course in Miracles, where it's a channeled book of Jesus. And then I will pick up a few excerpts from the Bible, but I think the Bible's been highly manipulated. That's what it feels like when I read it. There
Mhm.
are certain passages where I'm like, that's pure. I can tell that's pure. But a lot of it is not. Anything that has a frequency of fear or shame or suffering is man-made. So you
Yeah.
can just immediately discount anything that makes you feel scared or confused, discount it as man-made and go within and find a higher truth.
Geez, you are really an extraordinary person. You really are. I love your speaking. What I feel like I'm literally feeling very relating. I'm relating big time to you. Like big time. I'm
Awesome.
I'm getting goosebumps and yes, really cool. If you could extract one core lesson from your near-death experience into one single message to humanity, what do you think that would look like or what would that be?
The biggest core lesson is that I found out that I am loved beyond measure, that I'm cherished and loved, and there is this frequency out there that wants to give me everything in my heart's desire. There's a frequency out there that loves me so much. Even when I fall on my face, that unconditional love is still pouring on me. And having had that experience, I know that my only job while I'm here is to share that unconditional love with other people. So my message is whatever it's gonna take you to resonate with and then only share love with others, you will have mastered your soul's life plan. So it's really just love. I mean, making a conscious decision to choose loving thoughts when you're on the road and someone cuts you off. Choose loving thoughts when someone makes a rude YouTube comment. Choose loving thoughts. Just keep choosing loving thoughts and ignore anything that's under that frequency.
Wow. Could you tell us what's next for you? Or a little bit about, your medicinals?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Please.
I have a few things that I offer people. I have a heaven on earth based sacred dose school. So if someone wants to join the school, it's a monthly subscription thing. So it's 22 bucks a month, and then you have access to 20 hours of teachings and a platform of a chat community where we all hang out. And in that school, I teach people how to heal themselves with
Mm,
God, plant medicinals, and microdosing. So I have that school, and then I have whitefoxmedicinals.com, which is my herbal remedy website, and I offer people different herbal remedies. And then on the YouTube, I explain how to utilize these herbal remedies. I have different healing tools. I teach people about lymphatic massages and the importance of detoxing the body. So really, um, what I'm here for now is just supporting people that want to heal something physically or mentally or emotionally or spiritually. And then what's next for me? I feel like you and I were kind of chatting about this before we recorded,
mhm.
but the way that like I interact with God is I really am only shown like one or two steps in front of me at a time, and I no longer have these 5, 10, 15 year plans like I did prior to this
Good.
experience. So my goal is to stay in the present moment and then have God move through me. I have like some senses of what could be coming, but I don't like to speak to those until they've arrived in the actual 3D realm. But I do sense that very big things are and I hope that in a few months I can speak more to that.
Oh, that's just so wonderful, Scarlett. I am so thankful that you came on today. It was such a pleasure meeting you.
Me too.
Um, Like, seriously, I got a lot out of what you were saying, and it's so powerful. So
Mm.
thank you for sharing your journey so openly with us. I think that your story is powerful reminder that even in the darkest moments, love is always present, guiding us back to our true selves. And
Yeah.
to everyone listening out there, may you be inspired to look beyond and open your heart and trust in the healing force of love. And until next time, stay open, stay curious, and keep returning to the truth within you.